This is episode 1 of the School Data Podcast, the very first one. The School Data Podcast is the media arm of schooldata.ai, which is the newest player in the school evaluation business. Except where others give you opinions, we stick to the facts. Let me start with a question that almost every family faces at some point. You're trying to figure out where to live or where to send your kids to school, and you do what everybody does. You go online, you type in a neighborhood or a school name, and you look for some kind of signal that tells you whether the schools there are any good. And what you usually find is a number. A school gets a 7 out of 10, or a 4 out of 10, or a letter grade like a B minus, and that number feels official. It feels like it means something. So you let it guide one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make, which is where your family is going to put down roots. I want to talk about that number today because I think it's one of the most quietly powerful and least understood things in American life. And I want to tell you why we built something different. Here's the thing most people never stop to think about. When a school gets a grade or a score on one of those popular rating sites, that score is built mostly on one thing: the school's overall average. You take every student in the building, you average their test scores together, and you boil it down to a single number. That sounds reasonable on the surface. But a top-line average can hide far more than it reveals, and that's where families get misled. Let me give you an example. Imagine two schools. The first one serves a fairly narrow slice of the community, mostly families with a lot of resources at home. The second school serves a much broader mix, families across a wide range of incomes and backgrounds. Now, when you average everyone together, the first school is going to post a higher number almost automatically because its entire student body comes from a similar, well-resourced starting point. The second school's average gets pulled down, not because it's a worse school, but because an average blends everyone into one figure, and a more varied student body produces a more varied set of scores. But here's what the average never shows you. When you actually look closer, the well-resourced students at that second school, the one with the broader mix, very often perform right in line with the students at the first school. Same kind of family support, same kind of outcomes. The school itself is doing a comparable job. The only real difference is that the second school's headline number got dragged down by an average that treats every student as interchangeable. And in our research, this pattern shows up again and again. The big incumbent sites, the great schools, and the niches of the world lean heavily on these top-line averages, and they don't account for the fact that a school serving a wide economic range will almost always look worse on paper than a school serving a narrow, affluent one, even when a given child would do just as well at either place. Now think about what that does to families in the real world. These scores don't stay on the rating site. They get embedded into the real estate platforms people use to shop for homes. When you're scrolling through houses for sale, the school score is sitting right there next to the price and the square footage. And so families do something completely understandable. They compete, they stretch their budgets, and they pay a serious premium to buy into a neighborhood with a high school score because they believe that school will simply do a better job for their kid. But based on what we see in the data, that belief often isn't true. A family that's in a position to support their child's learning, the same family that would have thrived in the higher priced zone, can frequently get just as strong an outcome at the school down the road with the lower headline average. They're not buying a better education for their kid. In many cases, they're paying a premium for a number that was never really measuring what they assumed it was measuring. That's an enormous financial decision being made on a misunderstanding, and almost nobody realizes it because the score looks so clean and so authoritative. So that's the problem we set out to fix. And our answer is pretty simple to describe. We don't give schools a grade. We don't reduce a whole school down to a single average that pretends to capture everything. Instead, we show you the actual information clearly, honestly, and with the source attached, so you can see for yourself what's really going on, past the headline, past the hearsay. The platform is called schooldata.ai, and it covers basically every public school and school district in the country. That's over 120,000 schools and districts. For each one, we pull together real data from official public sources. The federal government collects an enormous amount of information about schools: how many students attend, the makeup of the student body, how students perform on state tests, broken down by subject and grade and over time, not just mashed into one average, how many counselors a school has, whether students have access to advanced courses like AP classes, discipline patterns, graduation rates, chronic absenteeism, and then we connect that to information about the surrounding community like household income, education levels, and how the local district spends its money per student. All of that data already exists. The problem is that it's scattered across a dozen different government databases in formats that normal human beings would never want to wade through. So, what we do is gather it, organize it, and present it in a way that an ordinary family can actually read and understand. We're not inventing new judgments. We're taking facts that taxpayers already paid to collect and we're making them usable, and we're refusing to crush them down into one misleading number. And here's the part I'm proudest of. Instead of stamping a school with a grade, we highlight what each school is genuinely good at. We call these strength areas. Maybe a school has unusually strong access to advanced coursework, where a much higher share of its students are taking college level classes than at most schools in the state. Maybe it has a strong counselor to student ratio, which means kids actually get attention and guidance. Maybe its graduation rate is climbing year after year. Whatever the school does well, we surface it and we show you the data behind it so you can trust it. Every school is good at something, and a family deserves to know what that something is instead of seeing a single average that writes the whole place off. This matters because no two families are looking for the same thing, and no two children are the same. One family might care most about advanced academics, another might be focused on a supportive environment for a kid who struggled. Another might be moving for a job and just needs to understand the real trade offs between two neighborhoods. A single score can't serve all of those families because it flattens everything into one judgment made by somebody else, using an average that may have nothing to do with how your particular kid would actually do. Real data lets you make your own decision based on what matters to your child and your family. That's the whole point. We're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to give you what you need to think clearly and to save you from overpaying for a myth. And we take the trust part seriously. We don't sell influence over how the data is shown. Nobody can pay us to make a school look better or worse than the facts say. The numbers are the numbers, and they come straight from the source with the source named so you can check it yourself. In a world where it's getting harder and harder to know what to believe online, we think that kind of plain honesty is going to matter more, not less. There's one more piece I want to mention because it connects directly to everything I've just said. Picking a school is only part of raising a kid. A lot of what shapes a young person's outcome happens outside the school day, and it's often the support a child gets that makes the real difference, more than the headline score of the building they walk into. Tutoring, test prep, sports, music lessons, robotics clubs, summer programs. So, alongside the school information, we're building a directory of those local learning resources tied to the same neighborhoods and districts. We call them learning spaces. The idea is that when you're looking at a place to live or a school for your kid, you can also see what's around it to help that kid grow. Because if a well supported child can thrive at a wide range of schools, then knowing where to find that support is just as valuable as knowing the school's average. It's the full picture in one place where they learn, where you live, and everything in between that helps them thrive. So let me bring this back to where we started. The way most families decide where to live and where their kids go to school is being shaped by a number that doesn't mean what people assume it means. It's a top line average that quietly punishes schools for serving a broader community. And it pushes families to overpay for neighborhoods chasing a signal that often doesn't deliver what they think it will. We think families deserve better than that. We think they deserve the actual facts presented clearly, free of hidden judgments and misleading shortcuts, so they can make the choice that's right for them. That's why schooldata.ai exists. Not to rate schools, not to rank them, not to tell you that one place is good and another is bad, but to put real, honest, understandable information back into the hands of the people who need it most, the parents and families who are just trying to make a smart decision and give their kids the best shot at a good life. Because when families can see clearly and get past the hearsay, they make better decisions, they choose better, and sometimes they save a small fortune doing it. If you've ever stared at a school rating and wondered what was really behind it, this is for you. Come see the data for yourself. Look at the schools in your area, look at the strengths, look at the facts, and decide what matters to your family. That's the way these decisions should have been made all along, and now finally they can be.